All right, so good afternoon, or I mean, I guess good morning if you're watching this tomorrow. But this is Mr. Goyaso, and today what we're going to be talking about is linear and quadratic regressions. Okay, so this is probably very similar to what you saw in class, but again, this is just extra help if you need it and you want to see some examples. Okay, so firstly, what we're going to be talking about and looking at is this little guide that we have made for y'all. That's going to kind of help you through linear and quadratic regressions. Okay, so if you remember, all of what we're really doing is we're getting data, right? Usually tables or ordered pairs. We're putting them into the calculator, and then the calculator is going to give us an equation. Okay, that's what we want. Okay, so here in this first example, we have a linear table, and we want to find the linear equation that represents this data. Okay, and so here we have a bunch of steps, but the ones we're really going to be focusing on today, or the only ones we're going to be messing with, are step 1 and step 5. Okay, for today we aren't going to do any of this. Eventually we will. Okay, but for today we're just doing step 1, step 5. That's it, over and over again. Okay, so step 1 here is I want to enter the data from the table. Okay, so here's my table. I want to enter that into the calculator. So to do that, we're going to click stat edit. Okay, so you're going to hear us say this a lot of times, right? You're going to hear us saying stat edit over and over and over again. So we're going to click stat, enter for edit. And then in my L1, that's where I want all my X values. Okay, so remember, on my table, X values are the top row, Y values are the second row. Even if they're not labeled, just know like 99.9% of the time, the top row is X's, the bottom row is Y. Okay, so I'm going to type all my X's in order, going left to right. So I'm going to type -4, hit enter, takes me to the next line. Then I have -3, enter, next line, -2, 0, 4, all the way to 10. Okay, so I have all my X values listed. So I'm going to arrow key over to my L2, and in L2, I'm going to type my Y values. Okay, now this is where it's really important. You need to make sure that you're going in the same order. So if you went left to right on the X's, you need to go left to right on the Y's. Okay, you can't skip them. You can't mix and match. They have to be in the exact order. Okay, so -5, enter, -3, enter, -1, enter, 3, enter, 11, enter, 23, enter. Okay, now once all of those values are in there, we're going to skip down to step 5. Okay, so that's step 1, right? Stat edit, enter the data. This step is we're going to click to actually find the linear regression. So I'm going to click stat, and this time I'm going to arrow key over to calc. Okay, so stat edit is step 1, stat calc is step 2. Okay, so I click stat calc. Now, since we're looking for a linear equation, we want to do a linear regression, which means we're going to click lin reg, number 4. Okay, so if it's linear, lin reg. Okay, so you click enter. I don't want to touch any of this. Okay, don't touch any of it. We already set it up, so it's set up right. Okay, so you're just going to arrow key down all the way to calculate. Okay, then when you click calculate, there we go. So my A value, what's in front of the X, that's the slope. Okay, right? It's normally we call it M, but in this case it's A. So my A is 2, my B is 3. So my y-intercept is 3. So if my slope is 2, y-intercept is 3, we put it all together and I get the equation y equals 2x plus 3. Because right, there's my 2, there's my A value, and then there's my B value. Okay, that's it. Okay, so stat edit, enter the data, stat calc, get the equation. Okay, so that's linear regressions. Okay, so we can do the same thing with quadratics. Okay, and you can kind of guess it's called quadratic regression. Okay, so here we go. My next table, this is a table of a quadratic. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing. Step 1, stat edit. So I click stat on my calculator, I click edit, but if I look, oh, I have the old data from the last one. So I want to clear that. So a quick way to clear it is we're going to go up to the L2. So we're going to highlight that very top part of the column, click clear, and then arrow down. And that's going to wipe everything out. Okay, so it's going to save you a lot of time. Now I'm going to go up to L1, hit clear, arrow down, wipes out everything. Okay, And then we just do the same thing. In my L1, we type all the X's. L2, we're going to type the Y's. So my X's, I have -4, enter, -3, enter, -2, enter, all the way until I have all my X's done, okay? Then I arrow key to the right, and I want to type all my Y's. So I have 40, 21, 6, -12, and again, make sure you're typing these exactly right. So if it's negative, make sure it's negative, -15, and -9. And there we go. Okay, so I have all my X's, all my Y's. So the first step is done, right? Stat, edit, enter the data, okay? Step 2, step 5, okay? So we're gonna click stat, calc again, but this time, since this is a quadratic, we're gonna do quad reg, okay? So we're gonna hit 5, not 7, that's quart reg. We haven't got to that yet. 5 is what we're on now, quadratic regression, okay? So if it's a quadratic, we want to find the quadratic equation, you hit quad reg 5, okay? So click enter. Again, don't touch any of this. Calculate, there we go. So my A value, what's in front of the X squared is 2. My B, what's in front of the X is -5. And my C, the constant is -12. We put it all together. There's my equation. Y equals 2x squared minus 5x minus 12. Pretty easy, okay? So let's look at a couple more examples from our assignment today, okay? And then we'll wrap it up. So we're not going to do all of these. I'm just going to show you a few more examples of linear and quadratic, okay? So let's skip ahead to number 3, okay? So for number 3, I have a table, right? It shows me Celsius and Fahrenheit. I want to write the equation of the line of best fit, okay? So I want a linear equation, a linear regression, okay? So first step, stat, edit, okay? I want to clear my old data in both columns, okay? And then first column, I type my X's. So 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. There's a lot in that one. And then I go to my Y's, same thing. 32, 41, 50, 59, 68, 77, 86. Okay, and there you go. So first step, stat edit, done. Second step, stat calc. So stat calc, since this is linear, this is a line, we go to linear regression, number 4. Okay, click enter. Don't touch any of this. Go down to calculate, and there we go. My A value, my slope is 1.8. My B, my y-intercept is 32. So if I look here, the only one where I have an A of 1.8 and a B of 32, B right here. Okay, that's it. Pretty easy. Okay, I can go to another one. Okay, so let's go to 7. No, actually, let's go to 6. Okay, so on 6. So that was an example of linear. Here's another example of a quadratic, because right here it says find the quadratic function. Okay, so I know I'm going to use quad reg. So first step, stat edit every single time. So I go stat edit, clear my old data on both columns. Okay, and we type it in. So my X's are going to be on the left. So I have -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay, go to my right. My L2 column is my Y's. So I have 0, 6, 6, 0, and -12. There we go. Okay, so stat edit done. Now I have stat calc. So stat, slide to the right, calc. Okay, now I have to think. Since this is a quadratic function, I have to go down to quad reg, because that stands for quadratic regression. Okay, so I click quad reg. I go down to calculate. And there we go. My A is -3, my B is -3, and my C is 6. The only one with those values are this one right here. My A is -3, my B is -3, and my C is a +6. Okay, and that's it. Okay, last one for today, number 9. So sometimes your data may or may not be in tables, right? It might just be given to you in ordered pairs. That's fine. We can work with this exactly how it is. Okay, and let me show you how. So if I look here, right, each ordered pair has an X and a Y, right? So that's an X, that's a Y. That's an X, that's a Y. And all the way till the end, okay? So all we have to do is we go to stat edit, right? That's always my first step. Clear, clear, okay? We're still gonna list all the X values in my first column, okay? So here, my X values are -2, -1, and then 0, then 1, then 2, right? Those are all the first numbers in the ordered pairs. Those are all my X's, okay? Now for my Y's. Now I really need to be sure here, especially because it's not in a nice table. I'm going in order. So if you went left to right with your X's, you have to go left to right with your Y's, okay? So starting with the left, I have 11, then 0, -3, 2, and 15. Okay, you need to go in the same order. I cannot stress that enough, because if you start mixing and matching, it'll throw you off. Okay, so there we go. So again, first step, stat edit, done. Second step, stat calc. So I go to calc. Now, it tells me you need to read sometimes. So it says we want to find the quadratic equation. So since it said quadratic, I have to do a quadratic regression. So I click quad reg, don't touch none of that, go to calculate, boom, there we go. So my A is 4, my B is 1, my C is -3. The only answer choice is this one, right? Because my X squared is a 4, I have an X by itself, there's an imaginary 1, and my constant's a -3, okay? And that's it, okay? So that's quadratic regression and linear regression. If y'all have any other questions, feel free to ask y'all's teacher. But other than that, y'all have a great day, and I will see y'all next time.